Hello! Today we're going to address all you people out there who are very, very rude. Stores, driving habits, parking lots, all that. I don't know what it is that's wrong with you that causes you to be rude towards other people. Uh, you know, people like you are the ones that I like to appall just completely. Piss you off because you deserve it. If I offended you, you probably needed it. But, you know, cutting people off, bunching people down aisles with shopping carts, all that, man, I'm going to tell you, this bad news, man. That's a bad neighbor policy right there. You need to shape up and be more considerate to people. Take a look at what you do. Maybe you're not one of those people or don't feel that you are, and maybe you really are. And all you need to do is take a closer look at yourself and see if you're one of them. All of us can be from time to time. You know, you're having a bad day, that's understandable. But these people, man, are, it just, you can tell that a lot of these people, no excuse me's, no holding doors for people, I mean, it's, and then there's a lot of people who do, which is, it's beautiful when you see that, especially holding the door for women. Chivalry is not supposed to be dead, people, Guys, you're supposed to get the door for a lady, man, when she's coming. It's what we do. This isn't the 80s anymore where women's lib people were screaming, hey, we don't want your help, man. We can do things ourselves. Women know that. They're confident in themselves nowadays. Yeah, you're right. They don't need you to hold a door for them, but you should do that because that's the considerate thing to do. I hold the door for anybody, old people, young people, whatever, kids, anybody's coming through there. You know, uh, it's just being a good neighbor. That's what you're supposed to do, man. And when you're going down an aisle and you got people, man, in shopping carts and stuff, man, you put your cart to the side. You don't stand in the middle of the aisle. I went to a particular store in Erlanger, or not Erlanger, Evendale over the weekend, and there were some of the rudest people in that place. The aisles are tight. They're looking at clothing items in there for sale, and they're running shopping carts up and down these aisles. Their kids are running into people with shopping carts because they're not paying any attention to them. People will expect a little bit of that from kids because kids are kids. That's what they do. But these people are just running right into you with a shopping cart going down the aisle there. No excuse me's, no nothing. Just looking at you all disgusted like you're in their way. Let me tell you something. I'm one of them people, man, that you can do that so much. And, you have enough and you get the shit slapped out of you for that. And you see this, then you'll understand why it happened. Sometimes you can tell people, man, damn, nice you be so rude, man. And they'll look at you and just say something snappy even back at you. Well, that's great, man. Until somebody puts the smack down on you and you can't figure out why it happened. Well, they don't have the right to do that. Well, you don't have the right to be an ass towards me neither, And just think you're going to do whatever you want, man. You share the earth with over 350 million people, I think it is, something like that. Or the United States alone is 350 million. Uh, you know, you make things bad for everybody else, you people that do that stuff, man. Because you don't realize that. And some of the rudest offenders out there I see are a lot of you on Sundays at restaurants when you just came from church. Really? Go get forgiven for your sins on Sunday so that you can go back on Monday or next Sunday and get forgiven again for all the crap you're going to do the following week. I mean, do you really think you're forgiven for that stuff, man, when you just continue to keep doing it? If you do, I suggest that instead of going to church one Sunday, you spend your Sunday reading the Bible, because it will tell you clearly in the Bible that, you can be forgiven for your sins as many times as the Lord wants to forgive you for your sins. But you can't continue to keep doing the same sins and keep being forgiven for that. Because eventually God's going to not overlook that anymore. And you will pay penance for that. That's why I don't put my hands on you people that do stuff like that very often, man. Because, God's going to have his way with you. I ain't worried about it. I'm a firm believer. So we don't have to worry about that. But you'll go to a restaurant, people come in from church in a big group of people, 7, 8, 9, 10 people sometimes, because they come as a group and want to eat together. And you'll have me and my wife, or ex-wife, whatever, back then, we'd go in with one of the kids or 2 kids to eat. Well, there's 3 or 4 of us. And we'll get seated ahead of a table for 10 because they don't have an open table for 10. They have one for 4. So these people, a lot of them, will expect them to hold off the 4 seats until they're seated. Well, we were here first. That's not right. We were here first. We've been waiting. Yeah, well, you came in a large number, okay? I used to work in the restaurant business. And you seat people as you can. It's not, we'll keep this booth open and we're going to try to seat 10 people in a booth. That's not going to work, all right? So why not seat the 4 people there? But these people are all snappy and just irritated. And you just came from church, man. Well, I fail to understand this, man. What? Yeah, what's the deal with that? How do you live with yourself, man? If you're that miserable that you're going to complain over something like that, I mean, it's ridiculous, man. Totally and entirely just stupid. And, that's no way to be. So think about that, man. You leave church, man. Somebody cuts you off in traffic, you're supposed to turn the other cheek. Well, as a believer myself, non-churchgoer, I might add, though, because there's too much hypocrisy in that. Any day of the week, I could start up my own church, and I guarantee you all the youth would be at my church, because the church has become out of touch with the youth today. They talk about, oh, well, you can't listen. Oh my God, that music. Listen to that. That heavy metal music is, oh my God, that's the work of the devil. And it's a Christian band. If you take the time to listen to the words to the song, you would realize that they're talking about being washed by the blood of Jesus in the song. But all you hear is the, and you go, oh my God, that's the devil. Come on, man. You old school people, man, some of you are just off the chain, man. You are out of hand. All this record and tape burnings and everything. Come on, man. That's not the Lord's work, man. So you go out there and burn records and stuff, man, and increase sales because of the publicity for all the record labels and the artists that were singled out as the devil's advocates, and you just increase their album sales, And that's what I would tell you. You were burning my records and I get TV publicity. Thank you for increasing my album sales. I've sold an extra 100,000 copies last week thanks to your critique of my album and dislike for it, because now all the kids want it. I mean, it's great. We got this whole gun control issue going on with Obama, and everybody's, oh my Lord, they're going to take everybody's guns from them. Never going to happen, people. The government is never going to take your guns away from you. Citizens in America would never stand for that, and they're not going to surrender their guns unless you're a total wuss, So, but you do need to register them. So if something happens or they're stolen, you need to report that. Not only for your protection, but so that the law knows when they run a serial number on one that it's a stolen firearm and they know to take it. You know, you can ban guns completely in this country, and the only people that you're going to hurt are law-abiding citizens, because the criminals don't care. They'll buy them off the street. Millions of guns float into this country every day. Airplanes, trucks, trains, everything. Coming from Mexico, coming from all these other countries, man. And they're not sold through sporting goods stores, man. They're snuck in here on boats on the Miami coast or something, come in, just like drugs. We got the war on drugs. Biggest hoax out there. The biggest sham ever out there, people. We got more drugs in this country than we've ever had in America. And yet, after 9/11, we're locking the borders down and nobody's getting anything in here. No dirty bombs, any of that stuff. That's great, except it's only a fantasy for the simple fact that, you've got people here in this country that build stuff like that. You've got all these imported guns and more drugs in here than we've ever had in this country. That's why the drug problems with people are through the roof anymore. The availability of that stuff, it's incredible how much of that crap is really out there on the street. Dope's everywhere. And, prescription medication is actually abused, I think, a lot more than illegal drugs are. Because now the doctors and stuff out there, and it's not the doctor's fault, but they're out here prescribing pills for everything. Oh, my earlobe hurts. Well, let me give you some Vicodins to help you with that, Really? I mean, when some aspirin would work, and the guy goes home and sells that 40-count bottle of Vicodins on the street for $5 a pill. There's too much money in that. Ban that, doesn't do you no good. They'll still import this stuff, man. It's going to sneak in here in the country. Politicians are taking payoffs to let them planes and all that stuff through U.S. Customs and all that shit's coming in here still. Cargo containers, they can't check everything, man. Millions of tons of cargo come into this country every day, and they can't check everything, man. They're not going to go through every single container on there and catch that stuff. They're doing a really good job keeping terrorist bombs and all that crap out of here, and I'm glad about that, but you're not going to stop drugs. You ban guns, you're only affecting law-abiding citizens, because it's not going to do a damn thing to change the criminal element out there. And that brings me to another point. If the police feel that they need to drive around with AR-15s and MP5s and all kinds of assault weaponry in there after that California bank robbery years ago, then why can't the citizen public have that kind of stuff? Back when that bank heist happened out in California, I had an SKS, Hellfire kit, closest thing to fully automatic you could get it legally, and a 30-round magazine on it. That gun stayed unloaded in my house, never loaded in there because I had children in the house, and usually kept a gun lock on it or had the firing pin out of it so that if somebody did get a hold of it and loaded it up, it wouldn't shoot. Because you can only shoot that thing at certain outdoor gun ranges. You can't take that to Target World in an indoor range and shoot something with armor-piercing rounds. People say, well, what do you need that for? Well, I used to go to a private gun club and shoot years ago. Thing's a lot of fun. A lot of fun to shoot that gun, man. It's great to have the feeling behind an automatic weapon like that. But the cops go out there to this bank heist and they're outgunned. They're using Remington 870 shotguns, Benellis, and Mossbergs, as I recall, are their favorites, and handguns against these guys with fully automatic AK-47s with drums on them, and they're wearing full flak jackets and body armor that the military has. And, they're coming under fire from these automatic weapons and just being shot at, and there's nothing they can do. Now, as a citizen, if I'd have lived in, 2 blocks, 3 blocks from all that going on at the time, and I see on TV that the police are being outgunned down here at this bank robbery because of these 2 idiots with AK-47s just randomly shooting at anything that moves, I would probably slip on down there to the command post and tell the nearest officer, look, I've got something that you can use to take these guys out. It will penetrate that body armor, and you are welcome to borrow that to stop these clowns before they kill somebody. You know, and I'd have gladly loaned that to the police to stop the crime, that was being committed at the time. If I was a concealed carry holder, put it this way. If I'm in a bank cashing one of my checks or something, and some clown comes in there, 2, 3 of them, they want to rob the bank. Got the security guard, got the jump on him, got him down, nobody can do anything. But you have 2 or 3 armed citizens in that bank. I would be more than happy to see somebody draw and take them guys out before they come there and shoot or rob me, And to you guys out there doing robberies on people, I hope somebody puts a bullet in your head, because you're vermin. You need to be wiped away. Which is eventually what's going to happen to you anyway. So, but, I'm comfortable with a lot of citizens having guns as long as they're taught properly to use them. Hell, I hope they're more responsible than people driving nowadays. But that's another story from previous to this. But if people, handle firearms like they drive, yeah, that's not such a good idea. So, but I'd have loaned the police that, because that's what you're supposed to do. And taking them out, took them straight out. But they want to take that kind of stuff away from us. Well, we've got our cars outfitted with that now. Well, if you've got that kind of stuff, but you're going to take everybody else's guns away from them, then why do you feel you still need that kind of stuff? Oh, that's right, because there's a criminal market for that. And no matter what kind of laws you're going to pass, because the ones we got already are so poorly enforced anyways, that there's no way you're ever going to stop that. They know it. So, that brings you around to, to a little more understanding there. If they feel they need it, then I feel the public should be entitled to that. I heard about one New York gun store owner up there, who used to service the police weapons and stuff. And that new list of proposed banned guns that they put on her, a cop went in there and decided that he was going to have his gun, something fixed on it, because the guy gunsmiths. And the dude told him, can't work on it. It's an illegal weapon according to this law they're wanting to pass. I'm not going to work on them. Yours or the public's then. If I can't work on them for the average Joe out there, I'm not going to touch yours just because you got a badge. Kudos to you, buddy, because that's the way it should be, man. You don't need to do no special favors for anybody, man. If they're gonna go out there and try to take that stuff away from everybody else, as an ex-con here, I'm not allowed to own one. So, it's over for me. But, what I find ironic about that is under the United States Constitution of this country, which gives me these rights, as the Bill of Rights, they are inalienable rights. Inalienable means cannot be taken, revoked, or suspended. Okay? Apparently the politicians don't understand what the Constitution and the Bill of Rights in this country means, because you are not allowed to take those rights from anyone. Oh, well, the Constitution and stuff, it's outdated and it's not with the current times, but it is the founding document from the United States of America that this country was built on. Stop eroding our rights away. Stop it. You have no right to do that. There's nothing in there that says, well, you're a convicted felon, you can't own a gun in the Constitution of this country. No, it says you have the right to keep and bear arms. And these rights shall not be infringed. Infringed. Better look that one up in the dictionary. Not to be taken advantage of, basically, people. So apparently, all you clowns up there in Washington, and you can't blame me because I don't vote for none of them idiots anymore. What's the point in voting for jackass number one or jackass number two? Because they're both going to screw you anyways. We need the third party person, man, who's actually going to do something useful in there. Everybody's too wrapped up arguing Democrat and Republican, and nothing gets done at all. It's just a waste, you know. So, that shit needs to be fixed, man. Y'all need to quit arguing over this, and we're not going to vote for this because we don't like your plan, and, you won't vote for ours, and nothing happens up our. Same old business as usual. Hey, we don't care, man. We're rich and we're getting paid. And once I retire from this, I'm getting paid for the rest of my life anyways. Man, that's bullshit too, because I don't retire from my job and get paid the rest of my life. Full salary. That's it. Come on, man. Really? So, but nonetheless, they're never going to take all your guns, man, but you can't give them an inch, man, as far as, the school shootings and stuff. That last school shooting, they didn't use any assault rifles in there, so why are they attacking rifles and long guns again? Come on, man. The kid guy used a handgun and went into a school. And you figured out that there's nothing you can do to curb handguns on the street. They're all over the damn place. $50, buy you a Glock 19, man. $50 all day long on the street. Throwaway piece. Don't know where it came from. Could be stolen. Could have murder on it. You never know. But people don't care. They're buying them up and carrying them around. So, but you tell me I can't have this to protect myself anymore because of this. That's just wrong. It's wrong. Look up the Constitution. Read it. Read the Bill of Rights. You owe it to yourself to do that. When this video's over, you go and you pop a copy of those and read it. Know what country you live in. Know what rights you're supposed to have. And when you see them start attacking them, do something about it. That doesn't mean, the passive people are saying, when voting time comes, we just won't vote for that one anymore. We'll go for somebody else. Well, the next one you vote for is going to do the same shit. I mean, have you not learned, man? If you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it. And apparently nobody's learned shit in this country in 200 years because this shit's still going on. They're still taking your rights away from you. Granted, this ain't the Wild West anymore. This ain't 1878, man, where you can just go out in the street, you get an argument with somebody, and y'all duke it out and hit or shoot at you, have you a draw out in the middle of the street. You don't do duels and stuff, man, anymore. Which is great because we're a more civilized society because of that. But, I'm not against guns. I think they're great tools in the right hands. But you're never going to keep the guns away from the criminals. And even if you ban them, like I said, all you're going to do is affect law-abiding citizens because the criminals are still going to get them. They're not supposed to have them now when they do. It's it's no good. Look at it this way. Let me put it like this. Somebody breaks into my home in the middle of the night. I'm not allowed to handle a firearm anymore. Okay? What options does that leave me? Well, I could have shot the guy if he made an aggressive move towards me or laid him down. Said, stay put and I'll call 911. The police come get you and everything will be cool. You'll go home breathing, when they let you out of jail. Or, if he's aggressive, then you got to take him out. Okay. But I'm not allowed to do that anymore. So my choice is to grab a nice big brass lamp or a ball bat or something and beat a guy to death with it. That's great. Very painful for him. Wonderful. A bullet would have been a whole lot less painful. So now my choice is I have to beat somebody to death or cut them to pieces with a damn knife and look like a freaking serial killer while the average person out there is allowed to defend themselves with a firearm. When's the last time you heard of somebody with a concealed carry permit that was a responsible gun owner going into a school or a McDonald's or a movie theater and start shooting? Those are nuts that do that shit. People with mental illnesses, man, disabilities. That isn't your responsible, registered firearm, card carrying gun owner or NRA member, or whatever. Those people don't do that. These are the outcasts that you try to take them from. That's their way of rebelling. They're going to buck like that. There's people out there who have firearms, who have mental illness records. Nobody's ever checked when they went and bought a gun and done that background check like they're supposed to find out that these people have been treated for mental illnesses for the last 15, 20 years. Oh, they've been seeing psychiatrists and shrinks and been taking medications and stuff, but nobody ever knows because they don't check until something happens. Then you look and it's like, oh, well, he was never supposed to have that gun anyways. Well, whose fault is it? The gun dealer? Gun dealer turned in the paperwork. It ain't his fault. You sent it to a government agency and they're supposed to do that. If they run you later at a later date after purchasing a weapon and find out that you have a history of that, you're supposed to be arrested for buying that gun and go to jail. But, nobody ever finds out about any of this. So these people continue to do things. Now the schools, that's a whole different story because you've got kids getting a hold of guns. And you can put gun locks on your guns. But any kid, man, that's crafty enough to put together pipe bombs and shit to take to school will know exactly how to get those gun locks off of a gun. The cable locks, pair of bolt cutters, buddy, and you got yourself access to a firearm. You get trigger locks, pick them easy. Paper clip and shit, man, and a fucking small screwdriver, and you got your gun lock open. I mean, it's ridiculous, man. It slows somebody down, but it's not going to stop crime. Gun vault, somebody wants something bad enough, they're going to bust a safe open to get it, man. That's about the only way you can do that. And putting guns in a safe isn't going to do you any damn good when you need one at 3 o'clock in the morning because you got some clown climbing in the back window of your house. Oh, hold up. Hold on a second. Don't come in yet. Let me get my combination here so I can get my gun out. People nowadays whose kids are doing this stuff, these kids have a lot of issues and the parents aren't raising their children anymore. That's why kids are into so much crap, drugs, fighting, illegal stuff, man, that they're into, getting in trouble. The prisons are overpacked because parents aren't raising their children anymore like they did when I was young. Both parents in the home are working full time, and when they come home, they're tired. They don't have time to deal with the kids. They don't want even talk to them. What's little Johnny doing upstairs? Well, he's not upstairs. He's down in the basement doing something. Oh, well, okay. You coming up for dinner? Oh, I'll eat later. All right. He's downstairs building a bomb, And you'll never know because you don't spend any time with your kids. You never taught your kids the difference between wrong and right. Now, some of you may have kids that are got mental issues and you just don't see it. And you probably would if you spent more time with them, but some kids can be really good at hiding that. So, and it's not everybody. There's still people out there who are raising their children. I have 3 of them. None of my kids went to school and shot the place up. Thank God they weren't a victim of somebody else's kid that does that shit, My kids are decent. They're not running around stealing. They're not robbing people at gunpoint. They're not packing guns illegally. They're not doing drugs. Any of that shit. And I can't sit here and claim that I was the greatest parent because, I wasn't. I was young, but I still raised my kids right. Back then, I had firearms in my house. I talked to my kids about that. I tested my kids from time to time. I'd leave an empty clip from a pistol on the table in the living room or something, and my son would actually scold me for that. I said, good going, boy. Good going, son. That's what you're supposed to do. Don't ever touch that. And they never did. I kept them put up and locked. Gun locks on all of them but my primary handgun. None of my kids ever shot somebody. They never fired any of my guns. They never got their hands on them, took them to school. Any of that. Because I always knew where they were. I always knew where my guns were too. Like I said, the only one that was ever unlocked was my primary weapon, and I usually carried that with me when I was out. But people just aren't raising their children anymore. You're too caught up in the work world, and I don't have the time for it. And that's the problem. That's where a lot of this shit begins because kids are getting bullied at school. The parents never know. It's going on for years until they just can't take it anymore. And they go out there and do something crazy because they don't know what else to do. They can't talk to you about it because you're busy working. Or busy sleeping when you come home because I'm tired after working 10, 12 hours a day. I just don't have time to listen to you, Johnny. You know, go talk to somebody else about it, or go talk to your mother, and then you go talk to mom. Mom said, go talk to your dad about that. Nobody's listening, and you wonder why all this is happening. It's not because there's some mental illness put in the water supply, and everybody's going, "Oh my God!" All of a sudden, I feel like doing something crazy after drinking a glass of tap water. I mean, you have to look. It takes a village to raise a kid. How many of you can sit here watching this video and honestly say that you know a lot of the people on the street that live around you? This isn't the small town of Andy Griffith's Mayberry anymore. Apparently, nobody takes the time to know their neighbors anymore. When I was a kid, if you were doing something, man, your neighbors liable to call over there and say, hey, call your mom up or your dad up and say, your kid's over here, man, starting a fire back here in the woods, and they're back here playing around, blowing up paint cans or something back there. And you get your butt blistered for that. Nowadays, we can't put our hands on little Johnny because, it's just, we can get in trouble for that. And it's not right. We'll just put him on timeout. Timeout ain't working, apparently. Some kids it will, but some of them you just not going to get through to them sticking them in a corner. That just gives them time to think up more devious stuff. Timeout would have been real bad for me growing up. It wasn't until the 80s or 90s or so when they figured out what ADHD was that I basically fit everything on the category or criteria to be diagnosed with ADHD, though I've never been officially diagnosed with that. They didn't understand that in the 70s when I was a kid. And back then in the 70s, they didn't have Ritalin, They did when my younger boy was growing up. And they tried to put him on it. It turned him into a zombie. And he says, Dad, I don't like the way I feel on that. I said, then stop taking that. And the school says, well, what are we supposed to do? The same thing the teachers did when I was in school. And they didn't have all that drugs and stuff for that back then. You deal with it. You find what that child's interested in, and you give them a creative outlet for all that excess energy. I'm a hella mechanic, electrician, home repairman, everything. If it runs on gasoline, chances are I can fix it. If it's electrical, I can figure it out. Mechanics and electrical. I'm crafty. I can design and build things. Engineering. I don't have a degree in it, but I'm an engineer. And actually do a better job than some of these guys with these 4 and 8 year college degrees in engineering. Because some of these guys, some of them do some really awesome stuff, man. But some of these designers have no common sense because they have you look at a product and it's like, why in hell would somebody design this shit like this? That's ridiculous, man. How that's just retarded. Because it works on paper, but you don't ever have to work on that yourself, or you wouldn't design something like that crazy. Cars are real bad for that. But, you need to take the time to raise your own children and spend more time with them because they could be the next Columbine shooter, if you don't. Most kids aren't going to have that potential, but you can see it. Like I said, when I was a kid, I developed all my special skills in mechanics, electrical, and all that stuff. I learned how things work because my mind runs 150 miles an hour still to this day. I'm always doing something. Got to do something. Got to work on something. Got a tool in my hand working on something. Have to. But that's how come I know how to do all that. Is because people didn't just put me on pills and go, here, sit in the corner and just marinate on yourself in the corner and have you drooling down yourself, sitting there, and it slow you down because you're disruptive in class or something. You know, they dealt with it. So nowadays, you all get to deal with it. I'm not putting my kids on that crap. You know, nowadays you babysit kids with a PlayStation. Well, I don't have time to, throw a ball with you in the yard, or go out and throw frisbee, or go to the amusement park with you or something. I'll get you an Xbox or a PlayStation, And these kids grow up in this generation and just marinating and spend half their life in front of a TV. I've got one. He got older and he got into video games. Now he sits and watches video games 24/7, plays video games and has no job, but that's what he does, He's an adult now. I accept that. You do whatever you want as an adult because it's your life. But I ride his butt, man, about getting a job. But he's a good kid. He stays out of trouble. And he plays violent video games and stuff. He didn't grow up to be some school shooter because of violent video games or the music he listens to. The kid's not sitting there, listening to crazy music. I listen to Slayer, Judas Priest, Megadeth, even some Therian and stuff, man, in the black metal category. But I'm not a Satanist. I don't worship the devil. I don't murder people, just because the music's talking about suicide. Well, obviously I didn't kill myself because I was listening to a Judas Priest record, But yet people have sued the bands and stuff, man, over songs like that, man. That's crazy, Really? It's too easy for you all nowadays to blame somebody else for what happens. Pass the buck, man. Well, I'll tell you what, you blame me for something, I'm just going to pass the buck too, because that's all you're doing. So we'll just pass it on to the next person, and we'll just keep on passing it down the line, and nobody's responsible for it, right? You need to take care of your own children. You raise your children. I'm not a role model for your kids, man. If I write some songs and there's some pretty harsh lyrical content to some of those songs, man, because I'll put a lot of my feelings on paper sometimes when I write a song, and then I'll lay the music tracks with it. And I'm not a role model. Not for your kids. You raise your kids. You don't like what they're listening to, tell them don't listen to it. Pay attention to that kind of stuff, man. But what I write's real, I'm not writing about mythological demons and all kinds of stuff, man. I'm writing about real life experience. But that's a whole other subject. But you need to be responsible for your family, your children, and even sometimes the neighbor's kids, man. If you see the neighbor's kids doing something, take time to know your neighbors. That's how you keep crime down in your neighborhood. Joanne down the street could call you and say, hey, there's some strange person up there. He's been walking past your house and looking like he's wanting to, sneak up on your house or something, man. I just wanted to make you aware of that. Great, because they had your phone number to call you at home because they know you. If they don't know you, what are they going to do? Call the police, and as soon as them people got the police coming and stuff down the street, they're going to take off and hide somewhere. You call the neighbor, and the neighbor can say, good, I got a good description of this guy, Know your neighbors, man. Be courteous to your neighbors. Have more block parties. That's great, Have more block parties. Get to know everybody. Drink your little beer. Have you some stuff for the kids, some games, whatnot. Put some music up, man, and everybody just have a good time, man. And get to know your neighbors and stuff. That's the key to keeping a crime-free neighborhood, man. Plus, you'd know if you had homebred terrorists in the neighborhood, because even though you had block parties and stuff, they ain't going to come out and talk to nobody. They're going to be recluses. They're not going to come out and hang out on the street with a bunch of people. Hey, Jim Bob, and say, hey, what's happening? And then go home and make a dirty bomb in their basement. Those people that do that kind of stuff, man, the ones you need to keep your eye on in the neighborhood are the ones who are unsociable and they will not talk to you. They'll stay in the back. You say hi, and they're like they didn't even hear you, and just go on about their business or look at you funny, and then go on about their way. Those are people you need to keep your eye on. Some people are just private, so you can't assume everybody's like that because some people just don't want to be sociable. It's just the way they are. It's not in their nature to be a sociable critter. But human beings are sociable people. We're social animals, and we like companionship and company. That's part of what we are as a people. So, you know, take time for all that. When something's going on, man, and your kids are in trouble, whoop their ass. If the cops showed up at my house when I was a kid, I got my ass blistered. But I never got an ass whooping I didn't deserve. Never. And it wasn't that often I got one anyways. But it didn't scar me for life, because I got paddled or something. Back when I went to grade school and stuff, they would swat your ass in school. Your parents would come up there, and one of the teachers or somebody from the school or the principal would whoop your ass with a paddle. Nuns, man, they would crack the back of your knuckles with a ruler, man. They do that nowadays, and everybody's wanting to file lawsuits and shit, man. That's ridiculous, man. Because you're not raising your kids. That's why they're doing this kind of stuff in school. You're not doing something right, man, as a parent. If you're constantly up at the school and that stuff, they're getting suspended all the time because school ain't allowed to discipline them no more. They stand them in a corner and people are wanting to file lawsuits on that. Well, you're mentally scarring my child. Well, hell, if you were a parent and raising your child yourself the way you should be, that wouldn't be an issue for the school to have to deal with. So, plus, how are you going to know if your kids are getting bullied, or anything? If you're not around for them, you're never going to know that. Me personally, I told my kids, anybody ever tries bullying you, knock them out. Because as long as they put their hands on you first, don't be the aggressor. As long as they hit you first, you have my permission to mop them up. Beat them senseless. With your hands. Don't go grab your damn bat or something and beat a kid with a bat because he don't have a bat. You're only allowed to use equal force. That's the law. But you can defend yourself, man. And by all means, I said, school might suspend you, but when I come down there, I'm going to tell them flat out. I gave them permission to do that. Because you're not there breaking that up, and stopping that from happening because you can't be everywhere at once. But my child will have the right and my permission to defend themselves when necessary. You can suspend them because that's your policy. That's fine. But I want you to realize that I'm not taking them home and whooping them and punishing them for that because they were defending themselves. Now, if they were the aggressor and started the fight and were the first one to assault somebody, then they're going to deal with me when we got to the house. And I never had problems with that. Still to this day, I tell them, somebody does you bad, knock them the hell out. Don't take crap from nobody. You see these incidents of traffic stops where 6 cops are out there with nightsticks beating a guy on the ground, and they're saying, he's resisting arrest. We're going to keep hitting him until he stops resisting arrest. You know what the natural function is, man, of a human being when they're being beaten up by 6 people with sticks and hit with shit that hurts? Fight or flight. Well, you can't fight because they're not going to let you go. So your inclination naturally is your instinct kicks in, and fight is the only choice you can until you can flee. So anytime somebody's got 6 nightsticks beating a guy, that is never justified. Never. You can't justify that. I don't care how you try to do that. It does not take 6 people with nightsticks that are trained to use those specifically to take down a suspect. You just can't do that. So there's no justification to that. So these people that win these lawsuits against these police departments and stuff, that's great. And not every cop out there is going to grab a nightstick and beat somebody. I know a few personally, man, and they're not going to do something like that. They're not the type for that. They're good cops. There's a lot of good cops out there. And even good cops can have a bad moment, So, where they just get carried away and get caught up in the moment, in the rush. My favorite's always been the car chase. As soon as the car chase ends, you got 8 cops bombard a car with guns out and stuff. They drag a dude out of the car and beat him half to death in the ditch on the side of the road just because you made me chase you and I'm going to whoop your ass to make you pay for that. You don't have that right to do that. You arrest that man, you take him down to the jail and let him see the judge, man, and do his time on stuff. Because when you take that into your own hands, you're convicting that man before he's ever had a trial. Also against the Constitution and the Bill of Rights in this country. You have a right to a speedy and quick, fair trial by a jury of your peers. Speaking of which, if you consider me a felon, ex-con, and, if I ever had to go up in front of trial again, I want 12 felons in the jury box because they consider those my peers. I'm not good enough to own a gun no more or anything. So they don't consider me a normal citizen anymore. So, if I ever wind up on trial, I want 12 felons in the jury box, man, because that's my peers according to you, You might think I have some twisted views on stuff, but you ain't even beginning to scratch the surface. But it all makes sense. That stuff makes sense. And there's a lot of people out there who agree with me, so that means there's a lot of minds that think like me out there. If you're worried about what I'm saying here, then you really ought to be concerned, because there's a whole lot of us out there. People in this country are fed up with all the crap, all the politics, all the money stealing, all the giving away money and stuff. Oh, we got to bail out the banks and the financial companies, Morgan, JP Morgan and Chase and all these places. We got to give them money. And then they get the check from the government and all the executives take $1 million bonuses off the top. Bullshit. You want to save your business? You all got millions of dollars. Take your millions of dollars and put it in your business. Joe's gas station down the street, he winds up in financial trouble. Ain't nobody giving him a bailout check. I know people losing their homes right now. I don't see a bailout check coming for them to get their mortgages current so that they can continue their payments now that they have a job again and would be able to finish paying their houses off and stuff. But you can't do that because you can't get a bailout check. But executives can take $1 million bonus off the top, of money coming in from the feds. The taxpayers paid for that money that the feds gave out. The car companies, last I heard, all of them have paid back their loans for their bailouts. That's beautiful. Car industry seems to be booming. That's great, man. As long as they create some more jobs and get more people back to work and stuff that need to be. At the, UAW, the union gets behind them all and gets things back, man, to working. That's great, man. People go back to work and cars are selling. They're building some pretty decent products nowadays, it looks like. But they have paid back that money. A lot of these financial institutions that got this money took all these $1 million bonuses, and they're still, we need more money now. I forget who it was that, wound up going back to the government saying, we need more bailout money. Bullshit. Give them bonuses back and put that shit back in your damn business. Well, we gotta give them these bonuses to keep good quality people here. Bullshit, because they're already overpaid more than likely, man. Let them go somewhere else. There ain't no jobs available. They're not going to leave your company right now because there ain't no fucking jobs out there for them to go to. And the same people telling the media outlets that are the same people, that are taking the bonuses. They're also doing the same thing, The problem is, and here, whether you like to believe it or not, we have a semi-socialist news media. The government censors some of the media, or the media has become an entity of the government, in a sense, in this country. You can't say everything you want to anymore. The media lies to you constantly. They get their facts screwed up on stuff. I know, because I went through a case, on that felony and stuff, man, years ago. And those people, man, had their facts so screwed up because cops would tell them something and they would twist the story around and make a bunch of lies in the newspaper. And whether they realized they were doing it or not, we used to have a saying in the Jake, man. It said, believe nothing you hear and only half of what you actually see. And that makes a lot of sense, man, outside the fence as well as the inside, man, in there. Because you can't believe a damn thing you hear out here. The news media, well, the news media said that Obama's doing it. Come on, man. Really? The news media is biased and shit, man. And they just tell you things to stir up shit, man. There is no way that, you know, a lot of that is just totally untrue. You ever notice when nothing happens for a long time, they start drumming up all kinds of crazy, wild stories? Looks like the damn National Enquirer tabloid magazine. Oh, there was an alien sighting, they were trying to kidnap Obama, I mean, this is ridiculous stuff because that's their job to sell stories and provide the public with entertainment when they don't have actual news to report. You don't never hear about all the good stuff on the news, you know. Mr. James, Mr. Johnson down the street that owns the heating and cooling company donated a furnace to an old couple for Christmas and installed it for them so that they could have heat for the holidays when they couldn't afford to buy a new furnace for their house and were living in there with electric space heaters that were eventually going to burn the house down. You don't hear about that very often on there. It's always negative stuff because the public eats up negative news, man. It's a fact. Oh, we want to see the bloody outcome and the last big crazy car crashes, and we want to see about the house that burnt down and killed a family of 6, and it's just ridiculous, man. Turn the news media around, put some positive stuff in there, man. Everybody's tired of hearing negative shit all the time. When you keep feeding negative stuff to people, all you're going to do is create negative people. You have to keep your mind positive and be fed by positive influences to stay positive. So don't give in to that, man. Don't believe everything you're hearing on television or they talk about on the Rush Limbaugh or Willie Cunningham show. You can't believe all that crap, man, that you hear. There's people and stuff in the radio business like that. They're biased. They're either Republican or Democrat or independents, whatever. But they're only seeing tunnel vision on their view of things. This is how it's supposed to be because that's the way it's going to work, But they all feel like that. None of them really right. And they're entitled to their opinions. But you as a listener to stuff like that, you can't believe everything you hear. Because that just makes you totally ignorant to the truth. And that's never going to work out. Don't believe that Obama's up there, all this business with gas prices. You know what this is? This is the petroleum companies striking back and shit, man, at us because Obama supposedly will not sign drilling permits for them to go searching for new oil. So they go, oh okay, screw you, Obama, then. We'll see how the public likes $3.80 a gallon gas. And they can call and complain and write you and cuss you out and make your administration look bad because you won't give drilling permits. Supply and demand. The price of incoming oil to this country, man, has not increased in 20 years. But yet the prices go up and down, up and down, up and down. If it's supply and demand, that makes no sense if you really think about it. Well, we don't want to produce more gas than we're going to need. Well, why the hell not? If you cut gas production, gas prices should go down, not up. Because you're employing less people because you're not producing as much product as you were before. That's business 101 right there. You're cutting back people's hours or whatever and, from 40 to 30 hours a week, whatever, working at the petroleum refinery. So why is the price of gas going up when you're not paying out as much? Your profits are still good. Those people make millions and millions, just filthy amounts of money every day in this country. And, well, of course you do. Well, we've had record profits this year. Well, of course you did. And shit, man, when you're charging the highest gas has ever been, at the pump. Shit, I remember when gas was less than $1 a gallon, man. 89.9 or 92 cents a gallon. When I was 16, I think gas was $1 a gallon, man. So they can make it for that. They can make gas for $1 a gallon. They just don't, because they can charge you $4 a gallon for it if they want to, and you are going to pay it. And, what can you do? The technology's out there for electric vehicles, but it's not really widespread yet because battery technology hasn't caught up with that. However, for local running, yeah, I plan to build an electric vehicle of my own. And you better believe I'm not going to be buying gasoline, man, to put in that. Because I'm going to beat you all at your own game. All you petroleum companies and people. The gas and electric company, keep jacking your rates up too, because I'm going to be able to run my house before long without you. I'm not going to need you anymore. I've got that in the works. I've been working on that little project for the last few years. If I market that, yeah, you're going to be hurting. Mark them words. I'm going to get it. So, because of all this extortion, that's all it is extortion. The gasoline, man. It's crazy. Yet, you all as the public, well, I'm just, what can I do? I'm just working 9 to 5 to make ends meet. And you need to buck. That's what you need to do. Get to bucking. Everybody stop buying gas for a couple days, man, and see what happens to them. Them people, oh my God. Oh my God, our stocks just dropped off overnight. Take a good look at that, man. You got the ex-president of the United States here, man, who left this country a mess for Obama when he took office. He's a big oil tycoon in Texas. His whole family is. Yeah. Do you ever look at all the stocks the politicians or their wives have? They put them in their wives' names usually and stuff, because then it doesn't look like they have special interests in giving special privileges to certain people. So they'll put it in other family members' names like their wives. The old governor of Kentucky, Ernie Fletcher, did that. His wife owned a big stock in Aramark Corporation. Well, guess who feeds all the penal institutions in the state of Kentucky? Aramark Food Services. Yet the governor's wife put them in there in all these institutions, and she's a big stockholder in the company. Never mind the fact that over $20 million in damage was done, man, in a 2009 riot at North Point Training Center because of the poor food quality and stuff this place provides. You can get great food quality at the ball games downtown. They do have the ability to serve good food down there, but it's expensive. Way overpriced, but, hey, if you're willing to pay it, they can charge that. So, and the business owners, man, think about something. If you could charge less for the product you're putting out, you're going to sell more of it. A lot of people go, well, I'd like to have that, but I can't afford that, man, so I'm going to pass, man. And, if you drop the price of that some, oh, well, now it's affordable. I can actually afford to get that. Cool. There's another customer that you wouldn't have had because you had your prices set too high on things, man. If it's costing you too much to produce stuff, then get out of the business, man. Get out of the way and let somebody else who can do it cheaper do it cheaper. Because that's bullshit. You don't need to pay a guy putting one screw in a piece of equipment and shit, man, $25 an hour. You don't have to do that. Because there's plenty of people out there, man, the youth, that'll work themselves for half that, and be great. They'd be plenty content to make half that. If you're overpaying your employees, that's on you. Mine don't pay me enough for what I do. But, still I like my job, though. And it's a job. I'm doing it. I'm happy to be working. I'm never going to make enough money. Nobody's ever going to pay me what I feel I'm worth. But, that's just life. So, but, anyways, well, that's just some food for thought. It's not even so much a rant, really. It's just words of wisdom. That's what I need to call this whole series of these videos, is the Words of Wisdom series. I think that'd work for that. So, words of wisdom. So, yeah. Well, peace out. I'm done for now, and possibly some more to come after this. Stay tuned if you're interested in it, and let me know. Thank you. Bye.